All good things must come to an end, and today we disembark to the Viking Egil. In another refreshing reminder that a Viking river cruise is unlike many ocean cruise ships, they didn't chase us off the ship. Of course, they asked us to vacate our stateroom so they could prepare for those boarding that afternoon, but it was really nice to be invited to stay on board the ship for those of us not rushing off to the airport. I walked off the ship in the mid-afternoon and found my hotel for the night in Budapest. So there it is, a stunning view of the back of the train station at Budapest Nyugati. Don't ask me how to do it and speak it in Hungarian. Most people that do a Danube River cruise end up taking the extensions that are offered by the cruise lines. Again, with me having booked all of this, 10 days ago, that wasn't available to me. So I wanted to get up to Prague before I fly home, but I had to make my own arrangements. It's actually not near as hard as you would think. So again, if you don't have one of the cruise lines transferring you, what I did was I walked into the train station right behind me here and asked for a ticket to Prague. Cost me 45 euros, and I leave tomorrow morning. The train ride from Budapest to Prague is about 6 hours and takes you through the Slovakian countryside. In another reminder of just how much more advanced the Europeans are than us at moving people around, the train was on time, clean, and comfortable. I arrived in Prague in the early afternoon and quickly found my hotel. Prague is a city of about 2 million people and the historical capital of Bohemia. Amazingly, Prague weathered World War II much better than other Central European cities. The Prague Castle, the Old Town Square, the Charles Bridge, and the town center, another UNESCO World Heritage Site, are all well intact. About half of all river cruise guests end up in Prague either pre or post trip, and if you've got if you're able to swing it and spend a couple of days here, it's well worth the visit. Today is my day to wander this incredible city. Prague is known as the city of 100 spires, acknowledging the vast number of buildings with this architectural design. And other than the occasional goofy building or road built as a result of the Soviet occupation, it has to be one of Europe's most picturesque cities. In some ways, it's hard to believe that it's only been a couple of decades since this place was trapped behind the Iron Curtain. Today, Prague is full of great restaurants, museums, coffee shops, galleries, and bars, as well as both local and Western designer stores. Overlooking the old city is the Prague Castle, originally constructed starting in the 9th century, and it has been in use ever since. It's the largest castle in the ancient world. The site has housed kings, Roman emperors, and was also the residence of the president of Czechoslovakia up until the breakup of that country. So I walked to a Prague Castle. Didn't ask how many steps this time, but as you can see, it's a spectacular view up here. Because I did book late, the Viking walking tour was sold out, so I was on my own for sightseeing around Prague. Luckily, I stumbled across the hop-on, hop-off bus tour of Prague. Yep, it's not just London and New York with these buses. So I'm usually pretty skeptical about things like the hop-on, hop-off bus, but today they totally won me over. This thing is actually great value. So even if you are doing a Viking walking tour, you might seriously want to take a look at this. After all the conversion rates and everything else, I paid somewhere between about 25 euros or maybe 30 US dollars, and it allowed me 3 different routings. My 24-hour ticket gave me access to 3 routings, and I could enjoy the commentary in over 23 different languages. Luckily, my language skills are limited enough that 22 of those channels were unnecessary. The first green route was a visit to all the sites in the old historic city center. Next, I got to see Prague by ship, and the blue route took me for over a 1-hour river cruise on the Vltava River. Finally, the red route took me to some of the suburbs where I got to see how the Czech people actually live here in Prague, a bit of a contrast from the historical center. Most of the river cruise extensions are 3 days here in Prague, but keep in mind that just about an entire day is spent in transit to or from your ship. It's between 6 and 8 hours between Prague and either Budapest, Vienna, or Bavaria where your ship is berthed, so to have at least 2 full days here in Prague should be considered a minimum.